With the WINN FM News, I am Kevin Brown. Our top stories: St. Kitts and Nevis nears a critical step in geothermal energy project. St. Kitts and Nevis advances national digital ID system with pilot launch set for early 2026. Progress advances on desalination plant as St. Kitts and Nevis tackles water scarcity. Violence concerns in Grenada reignited. Opposition leader in St. Lucia claims that the St. Jude Hospital building was being painted red ignited a dispute. Internationally, Gaza health minister says 33 people dead from malnutrition in last 48 hours. Now, the details. A breakthrough is imminent in the geothermal energy project spearheaded by the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, as the selection of the winning contractor for drilling production wells in Nevis is expected by the end of July. Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honourable Dr. Terence Drew, recently revealed these promising developments. Highlighting the momentous nature of this phase, Dr. Drew emphasized the progress made thus far in the Federation's broader Sustainable Island State agenda.
We now have the bids open of the companies that have done that to be awarded the contract. We had a number of companies with some of the best in the world bidding on this geothermal project. So we know it's moving.
The Prime Minister's remarks conveyed optimism about the selection process concluding soon.
At the end of this month, in my conversations with the Premier of Nevis, we should determine then, the team should determine then who would get the contract to do the first phase, which is the drilling of the actual production wells.
Dr. Drew further underscored the foundational nature of this initiative by reaffirming that funding for the subsequent construction of the geothermal power plant was already secured.
We have already raised funding for the building of the power plant. This is real.
Discussing the broader implications of addressing the energy challenges, Prime Minister Drew highlighted the multifaceted impact of this project on the nation's sustainability goals.
The reason why this is so important, if we resolve the energy matter, we will resolve all of our water issues. And when it comes to food as well, we'll be able to do more intensive agriculture, as we'll have energy and water to do such, even as we are dealing with climate change and we see all of the changes and how they're affecting us here in St. Kitts and Nevis.
The geothermal developments are a pivotal step forward in addressing the intertwined challenges of energy, water security, and agricultural productivity, all of which are critical elements for the continued growth and resilience of the Twin Island Federation. The completion of the drilling phase will mark the beginning of enhanced energy independence and environmental stewardship in St. Kitts and Nevis, leading to sustainable development and climate adaptation. The Federation's ambitious national digital ID system continues to make significant progress, with a pilot launch scheduled for January 2026 and full nationwide rollout expected by mid-2026. The launch will be a key step in the current administration's broader digital transformation efforts under the Sustainable Island State agenda. Prime Minister, the Honourable Dr. Terence Drew, recently emphasized the strategic importance of this technological advancement in a national address, underscoring the government's commitment to creating a smarter, more efficient public sector that serves citizens anytime, anywhere.
Enhancing the ease of doing business in St. Kitts and Nevis is essential to attract investment. We are therefore building a smarter, more efficient government, one that works for you wherever you are, whenever you need it. That transformation begins with our national eID system, developed in collaboration with Cybernetica, the Estonian firm behind the world's most advanced digital government, and supported by Taiwan ICDF. All technical equipment have passed factory acceptance testing in Taiwan and will arrive in St. Kitts and Nevis by October 2025. Installation begins immediately thereafter.
He continued to outline the transformative benefits the digital ID will introduce for citizens.
In 2026, we expect to issue digital ID cards to over 25,000 citizens, unlocking a new era of secure, convenient access to public services. With your eID, you'll be able to apply for a passport, request a birth certificate, register a business, or pay taxes, all from your phone or computer. No more waiting in lines, no more red tape. Just fast, transparent service.
The Prime Minister also highlighted the complementary development of a national government e-payments platform.
Complementing the eID rollout is our forthcoming national government e-payments platform developed by the Inland Revenue Department in partnership with the Accountant General's Office, the Ministry of ICT, and supported by legal vetting from the Attorneys General Chambers. This platform will be the digital gateway for paying taxes, renewing licenses, and settling government fees. Phase 1 is already in testing and will be live by mid-2026, making government transactions more accessible to every household and small business in the Federation and our diaspora.
Since 2023, the Ministry of Information, Communications and Technology, ICT, in partnership with Taiwan's International Cooperation and Development Fund, ICDF, has been spearheading the development and testing of a secure electronic identification platform. The system is designed to provide both digital and physical authentication for citizens and residents, ensuring robust identity verification. A critical component of this initiative involves intensive stakeholder consultations with over 40 participants from both the public and private sectors engaging in discussions in June 2024 to ensure the system's responsiveness to national needs. Progressing beyond design and prototyping, the project entered its integration phase in December 2024, marking a rapid advancement toward operational readiness. In tandem with the National Digital ID System, the government has invested in broad enabling infrastructures. These include establishing a dedicated digital transformation unit and launching online portals to facilitate services such as driver's license renewals, tax payments, and the newly introduced e-passport system. Conscious of the importance of citizen data security, the government is actively pursuing plans to strengthen data protection laws and enhance cybersecurity infrastructure. These measures aim to safeguard the integrity and confidentiality of personal information as digital services expand across the Federation. Water scarcity remains a critical issue for the Federation as shifting climate patterns have led to reduced rainfall, saltwater intrusion, and rising demand that strain existing freshwater resources. In response, St. Kitts and Nevis is turning to alternative sources, chiefly through the construction of desalination plants and the exploration of additional groundwater wells to safeguard a stable water supply for its residents. Desalination, the process of removing salt and impurities from seawater, offers a sustainable solution for the Twin Island nation nestled in the Caribbean. Taking advantage of the abundant seawater just offshore within its exclusive economic zone, the government has committed significant resources to establishing state-of-the-art desalination facilities on both islands. Jerry Moyes, General Manager of Royal Utilities, the company leading the build-out of the Bastille desalination plant on St. Kitts, recently detailed the progress of the project, which is steadily nearing completion.
Everybody's working to put in the intake and the outfall pipes. Things are progressing very, very well. Over the past weekend, we worked a couple of 12-hour shifts back-to-back just to avoid any interruption to any of the local businesses in the area. So we're about 90% complete right now, and hopefully in a few weeks we'll be hitting the start button. But things have gone very, very well, and we're really proud to be a part of this project for St. Kitts.
The 2 million gallon desalination plant under construction at the Ponds Industrial Estate, which Prime Minister the Honourable Dr. Terence Drew confirmed is approaching its final stages.
We are also building out the 2 million gallon desalination plant that is right here at Ponds, the industrial estate. That is in the final stages, so we expect that to come online within the next 2 months or so. That's a 2 million gallon plant. We have already run the pipes all the way up to the hill over there in Bird Rock, and that tank, that storage tank, is what going to serve. So we intend this year to end water shortages in the Bastille area, Bastille to St. Peter's area.
The development aims not only to boost the volume of potable water available to citizens, but also to enhance the reliability and resilience of the water supply system throughout St. Kitts. By turning the tide on the traditional reliance on rainfall and surface water sources, which have become increasingly unpredictable, the government is taking concrete steps to secure water security in the face of climate change realities. The larger implications of these projects suggest adapting to evolving environmental conditions, reducing vulnerability to droughts, and ultimately improving the quality of life for all residents. As work proceeds on these innovative plans, the Federation moves closer to a future where access to clean and reliable water is a given, no longer a cause for anxiety. For now, the eyes of St. Kitts and Nevis remain fixed on the countdown to full operational status for these desalination plants, with the hope that the current water troubles will soon be a distant memory. In regional news, violence concerns in Grenada reignited. Grenada Broadcasting Network reports.
The weekend shooting in Grand Anse's bustling Wall Street entertainment district has reignited urgent calls for stronger action to tackle violent crime, especially among the nation's youth. Commenting on the issue of gun violence in the country, criminal defense attorney Anselm Clouden says enforcement alone won't solve the deeper issues. He warns that the violence stems from entrenched poverty, a lack of opportunity, and systemic neglect, especially among young people.
But the underdeveloped areas of the country, okay, where you have a one-parent home, the mother raising the children, no father. And look, these children grew up in a deprived environment. And there are areas where you see it. Coffee Bow Hill, they're developed there now, but I remember years ago, it's the little Janet houses you see all around. They plant their skin up, they try to sell skin up and so forth. 4 roads, tongue with the ghettoized areas. The Carnage, they've been always a depraved area. You go past there every day.
Grenada's Juvenile Justice Center remains a vital tool in the response, but Clouden says it's one part of what needs to be a broader multi-sectoral approach.
But you take them out of this environment and you put them in another environment and you try to monitor the development through social services. It's not an easy thing to do, but we cannot continue like this. Too many of our young people have lost their way, and the system is not so geared to pull them in and bring them back. And my suggestion would be, look, this thing could only escalate and get worse. So the government must now go into what you call systematic planning.
Last year, the Royal Grenada Police Force confirmed a spike in criminal activity across popular entertainment zones during Spice Mass, including 1 shooting and 1 stabbing during Juve alone. In total, more than 37 incidents were reported, almost double the 19 reported in 2023. According to the RGPF's latest crime report, overall crime rose by 1.6% in 2024 compared to the previous year. While much of that increase came from minor offenses, law enforcement officials say gun violence and homicides remain a serious concern. They also note that many of these violent acts appear to be targeted and linked to organized crime, including suspected drug-related disputes. Last year, the RGPF seized a record 61 illegal firearms, 9 which were surrendered during the government's gun amnesty initiative. As investigations continue into Sunday's shooting, the pressure is building for leaders, communities, and institutions to act decisively before more young lives are lost to violence. Reporting for GBN News, I am Nisha Paul.
Opposition leader in St. Lucia claims that the St. Jude Hospital building was being painted red ignited a dispute. HTS News Force has the details.
The controversy began when the United Workers' Party political leader Alan Chasney denied making an unauthorized trip to the active St. Jude Hospital construction site. While on the campaign trail in Choiseul on Sunday, July 13, 2025, Chasney alleged that he had a week earlier witnessed workers in Vieux-Fort painting a building red and took pictures which security personnel disapproved of.
So I was on my way to Auger to meet my very good sister, Lady Lee. And as I was passing the entrance of St. Jude's, the old St. Jude's, the new St. Jude's, I saw a building in the distance that had been painted red. I said to myself, don't tell me that these guys have gone to that level to paint the hospital red. So I reversed the car. Well, Boyce reversed the car. And we drove up to the gate. So when I got to the gate, I see this big red building in front of me.
News Force, visiting the site in Vieux-Fort on Tuesday, July 15, 2025, observed only a sliver of the entrance to the mostly yellow and black new wing displaying such a color. There was no evidence that workers had painted the entire building red. The original new buildings from the post-2009 fire construction are blue and white, while the 2019 wing is primarily yellow and black with a touch of red. All the buildings will be incorporated into the hospital complex. Health Minister Moses Jean-Baptiste addressed the red building question during a recent pre-cabinet press briefing.
Is it red in color?
No, the hospital is not red in color. The hospital site has been prepared and we are excited about this hospital being reopened to the people of St. Lucia, to the people of the South in particular. This hospital does not belong to the Labour Party or any other party. It belongs to the people of St. Lucia. And we are working very hard to ensure that we deliver the hospital to the people. So this hospital does not belong to any particular party. It belongs to the people of St. Lucia. And we will ensure that not only the structure is world-class, but also the services continue to improve so that both structure and services are world-class.
Chasney's July 13th account also featured an alleged spat with the groundskeeper before contractor Reno Kajada reportedly granted permission for an impromptu tour. The UWP leader, seemingly delighting his audience, offered a negative assessment of the current hospital project. He also attempted to justify a nearly $1 million technical audit in 2017 while scoffing at the work done by a panel of volunteer experts who evaluated the project.
So when Ray asked me what the hospital was like, I said to him, well, in my constituency, every weekend, they have a fete called Back in Time. Some of you may know it as an oldies party. Yes? I said, I know going to a Back in Time party is a good thing. I have never known going to a Back in Time hospital as being a good thing. And that is what we're getting, is a Back in Time hospital. Here it is, you want to make a bigger airport, you want to bring development into the South, and the hospitals are already too small.
The Alan Chasney administration halted construction on the original reconstruction site in 2016, despite its advanced stage, and began work on a completely new building 3 years later after demolishing 2 structures. In 2022, pro-UWP protesters joined what began as a one-woman demonstration calling for the completion of the structure the Chasney administration started in 2019. In 2023, the SLP administration secured a $201 million loan from the Saudi Fund for Development to help complete the project, which will include features to withstand Category 4 and 5 hurricanes. The reconstruction also signaled the start of rehabilitation work on the George Odlum Stadium, which has housed the hospital since the 2009 blaze. In September 2024, the government officially awarded 2 contracts for the final phase of reconstruction to local firms. Construction Industrial Equipment Limited, which will handle civil works, and Caribbean Consulting Engineers Limited, which will oversee design supervision. Joachim Duplessis, HDS News Force.
We now bring you these international reports.
As Western anger and frustration continues to mount towards Israel, the UN Agency for Palestine Refugees, UNRWA, has told BBC News that members of its staff, as well as doctors and humanitarian workers, are fainting while on duty in Gaza due to hunger and exhaustion.
I'm absolutely desperate. Gaza is a hell on earth. Our own staff at UNRWA are fainting while on duty due to hunger and exhaustion. Many of them were also forced to flee given the latest displacement order.
33 people have died of malnutrition in Gaza in the past 48 hours. 12 of those are children. That's according to the Hamas-run health ministry. And the director of the Shifa hospital in Gaza has told the BBC that around 900,000 children are now suffering from hunger, 70,000 of whom are in a state of malnutrition. This comes as Israeli forces are continuing their offensive in central Gaza, specifically in the area of Deir al-Balah. Until now, the IDF had avoided ground operations there over concerns that Hamas could be holding Israeli hostages in Deir al-Balah. The World Health Organization says that 2 locations there, a warehouse and staff accommodation, have been attacked. It said employees were handcuffed, stripped and interrogated at gunpoint by Israeli forces. Israel could face further sanctions from the UK if it does not agree to a ceasefire in Gaza. That's from the Foreign Secretary David Lammy, who says he feels appalled and sickened by Israel's actions in the Gaza Strip. Our diplomatic correspondent Paul Adams has this report.
Israel's military is now attacking areas of the Gaza Strip relatively untouched before, where huge numbers of displaced people are sheltering. In nearby Gaza City, the search for food is constant. There isn't enough, and the journeys are long. Today it was a huge struggle, says Mohammed, until people took pity on us and gave us a bag of flour. We don't have money for transport, we don't have food, we don't have anything to drink. Famine is killing people. From the foreign ministers of 25 mostly European countries, a plea for Israel to comply with international law and stop drip-feeding Gaza with aid.
I described what I saw yesterday in Parliament as grotesque. These are not words that are usually used by a foreign secretary who's attempting to be diplomatic. But when you see innocent children holding out their hand for food, and you see them shot and killed in the way that we have seen in the last few days, of course Britain must call it out.
A nation in mourning and shock, a day after military jet crashed into Milestone School in Dhaka. People rally in solidarity while grieving families wait to hear how the tragedy happened and took the lives of their loved ones.
I can't imagine the kind of massacre that took place. We are unable to come out of this trauma. Nothing like this has ever happened in our lifetimes. Accountability should have come sooner, but we're only human, trying our best through the pain.
Grief has turned to anger as hundreds of students protested across Dhaka, including at Milestone College, demanding justice, compensation, and an immediate stop to military training flights. At Milestone, 2 advisors were trapped by angry students over disputed casualty figures before police escorted them out after an 8-hour standoff. The student issued 6 demands that the government accepted in principle.
We lost our younger brothers and sisters. Their lives matter. They deserve priority. We may never get them back, but at least give us the accurate figure and numbers of dead and casualties. Where are the bodies? Why is it still like this?
The remains of those whose identities could not be immediately confirmed are to undergo DNA testing and will be handed over to families once identified. Dozens of people with severe burn injuries are being treated in hospital. Some are in critical condition, according to a senior Bangladeshi health official. The Bangladesh Air Force has launched its own inquiry into the incident.
It was a very sad incident. We will try our best to find out the causes. And of course, we are with the people who got hurt, who got killed, who got injured. The whole country is with them.
As families wait for news of their children, the country observes a day of mourning, but the heartbreak from this tragedy runs deeper than silence and prayers. Chanvi Chaudhary, Al Jazeera, Dhaka.
Russia is tightening censorship that could have sweeping ramifications for digital privacy and the fate of WhatsApp in the country. Lawmakers on Tuesday approved legislation imposing fines on people reading and searching online for content that the authorities deem extremist. The move has drawn criticism from some pro-government figures as well as opposition activists. Boris Nedyedstin is an opposition politician.
It creates real problems for tens of millions of people. Let's ban WhatsApp, let's ban Wikipedia, let's ban searching for some words on the internet. That's just Orwell stuff. We will be resisting.
Opponents say the fines the legislation prescribes of up to $63.82 could open the door to tougher charges and penalties. The Ministry of Justice's list of extremist material stretches to more than 500 pages. Entities banned in Russia for carrying out extremist activities include late Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny's anti-corruption fund, as well as what Moscow calls the international LGBT movement, and US tech giant Meta Platforms. On Friday, lawmakers who regulate the IT sector said Meta-owned WhatsApp should prepare to leave the Russian market. The new legislation targets people who knowingly search for extremist materials online, including through virtual private networks that millions of people across Russia use to bypass censorship and access banned content. Speaking on Duma TV, head of Duma's Information and Technology Committee, Sergei Boyarsky.
Let me be clear. This bill targets a very specific group, those actively seeking extremist content because they're already on the brink of extremism.
Officials said law enforcement will have to prove that users intended to view extremist materials and that merely accessing platforms would not be penalised. But it was not immediately clear how the authorities would determine intent in an online search.
It's being dubbed a natural disaster by officials, a massive outbreak of toxic algae off South Australia that has devastated hundreds of species of marine life and disrupted local tourism and fishing.
It's important to recognise that this is an unprecedented event.
State Premier Peter Malinowskis said Australia is not familiar with responding to such a crisis.
You know, with a bushfire you can put the fire out. If there's a flood, you can do the modelling to have a sense of where the water is going to go. Whereas this is so entirely unprecedented, we don't really know how it's going to play out over coming weeks and months ahead.
Environment officials say the algal bloom, first detected in March, spans an area of over 1,700 square miles and has been aggravated by rising ocean temperatures. The bloom has been caused by an overgrowth of an algal species called Corania mikimotoi. It affects fish gills and sucks oxygen out of the water as it decomposes. The public have logged nearly 14,000 dead animals on a reporting app. Tourism businesses and oyster and mussel farms have been forced to temporarily shut due to a waterborne toxin caused by the algae, local media said. Malinowskis announced an over $9 million support package to tackle the outbreak, matching funds from the federal government.
I think it's reasonable to assume that it won't be the first incident of its type in this country, and the type of investment that was announced yesterday will go a long way in better understanding how we can prepare and plan for these types of events into the future.
You were listening to the WINN FM 98.9 newscast. Our top stories were St. Kitts and Nevis nears a critical step in geothermal energy project. St. Kitts and Nevis advances national digital ID system with pilot launch set for early 2026. Progress advances on desalination plant as St. Kitts and Nevis tackles water scarcity. Violence concerns in Grenada reignited. Opposition leader in St. Lucia claims that the St. Jude Hospital building was being painted red ignited a dispute. Internationally, Gaza health minister says 33 people dead from malnutrition in last 48 hours. Thank you for listening.